What's going on, everyone? So, per reports, Daniel Gafford is available. The Dallas Mavericks are making Daniel Gafford available via trade for perimeter help. They want a 3-and-D wing, ideally, or just some type of perimeter defense. Daniel Gafford would make a ton of sense for the Los Angeles Lakers, ideally, if that could happen. But before I dive into this, Dallas trading Daniel Gafford to the Lakers, probably not happening, right? The only way I see the Lakers getting Daniel Gafford is it's through a 3-team deal where a piece that Dallas actually wants ends up going to Dallas, and then Dallas ends up sending Daniel Gafford to this other team, and they kind of reroute him to us. Or that happens, they get traded, and then we just pick it up via trade some other way, right? I don't see Dallas being like, oh, let's go and trade Daniel Gafford to the Lakers for one. And two, outside of Jared Vanderbilt, we don't really have a guy that they would want, right? They want, based on the reports, they want a very specific player. So they're not going to want Rui Hachimura or anything like that, right? They're going to want somebody that can come in, slot in, and defend. Now, Jared Vanderbilt, right? Some people might say, hey, well, good, trade Jared Vanderbilt for Daniel Gafford. Jared Vanderbilt hasn't played all season. I mean, he's missed a full calendar year. It's been a year and a half since the last time he played. I'm pretty confident that the Dallas Mavericks are probably not like, yeah, let's take a chance on Jared Vanderbilt. They're probably better off just keeping Gafford. So, again, realistically speaking, I think what would have to happen is Lakers would have to get involved in a 3-team deal, or you'd have to kind of, the guy gets rerouted that way, right? Like, that's probably the only way. Because at that point, if Dallas gets the guy that they want, they don't care, right? Like, hey, we're trading this guy anyway. Once he's off and we've done the swap for the guy that we want, then wherever he goes after is none of our concern. So, but Dallas wants a very specific player. So just keep that in mind when you're like, oh, Lakers need to go get Daniel Gafford. They're probably not getting Daniel Gafford from Dallas, right? Like, technically it would be if it was like a 3-team, but you get my point, right? It's going to be because another team has a piece that they want, and maybe that team wants, the Lakers first, or they want, maybe they do want Rui Hachimura or something, right? Like, maybe you could work something out in that regard. Don't get your hopes up or count on Daniel Gafford being a Laker. I don't even think that they're necessarily going to be able to trade Daniel Gafford. We'll see. I think they're probably going to end up keeping Daniel Gafford because, how many teams are willing to trade a 3-and-D wing for a center that, Daniel Gafford's good, but it's just like, how many teams need that, and then have exactly the piece that the Mavericks want. So I think that's going to be a little challenging for them. But nonetheless, right, talk about the possibility of Daniel Gafford coming a Laker. He's making just under $14 million this season, so he is a very tradable asset, right? He's a very tradable player. Lakers could make it happen. So you could go and make a move for Daniel Gafford, bring him in. He's a guy that could really kind of fill in, slot alongside Anthony Davis at times, be that quality backup for the Lakers going forward. But what does Daniel Gafford provide? Well, do a little bit of rebounding, a little bit of shot blocking, play just 26 years old, by the way, too, which is important, right? So he's young enough to where he could be a piece for the next, 5+ years at least. But 6'10", 6'11", 265. So, again, more meat on him, physical, right? Guy that can bang with the big boys. That's what the Lakers are looking for, right? They want a guy that they can throw at the Jokic's of the world, the, Zach Edey's of the world. But you look at this season, so far this season, he's played in 40 games. Started in 17 of them. He's averaging 20 minutes on the dot is what he's averaging. 6.7 attempts. He's 70% from the floor in those attempts. He doesn't take any threes. So he's not a guy that's three. So his EFG, his 2-point percentage are both 70%. 70.5 if you want to be exact. Free throw shooting is abysmal. He's not a good free throw shooter. He's a career 66.7% free throw shooter. So we'll be nice and say 67% free throw shooter. Rebounding, 6 rebounds, 1.2 assists, half a steal, and 1.5 blocks, and also adding in just under 12 points, 11.7 points to be exact. So the guy's basically a 12-6 with a steal and a block and a half a game, right? Which basically sounds like everything that the Los Angeles Lakers need. And all honesty, the Lakers probably should have went and got him last season, right? And instead of letting him go to Dallas, I think that he would have had a real impact for the Lakers last season, and he was a piece that we really needed, and he didn't go for the farm. So if the Lakers could find a way to land him this season, like, that would be great, right? Because the Lakers, they do need that. Trey Jameson, we'll see, right? Like, I liked a lot what we saw from him. I mean, you saw basically everything you wanted. The rebounding, shot blocking, being a deterrent at the rim, right? Got a little foul happy, but he just got back, right, after his little hiatus, coming in and getting in the game, right? Like, and also he's kind of just floating out there, as you saw. He was out of position a couple times, not because, like, he just doesn't know, right? He literally got off a plane, went from getting off of a plane to, like, hey, now you're going to play 15 minutes for the Lakers, right? Immediately out the gate because Anthony Davis is going to sit. So I'd like to see him a little more before we make that adjustment, before we, either go like, yeah, he ain't it, or yes, he is it. But I thought everything you wanted to see from Trey Jameson, you got to see in this game. His ability to defend and switch out on the perimeter, as well as being that deterrent at the rim. He sets good, hard, physical screens. I mean, he just, like, flatlined a guy, which was just, I love to see that toughness, that physicality, bang with the big boys, 270. You saw the athleticism, like, all of it, right? So I'm chances are that's probably going to be who it is. If we had to guess, Lakers probably pull off another trade or two here and there, and then they're going to go and make that move for, this guy over here. And then it's like, okay, well, what about the center spot? It's like, whoa, we brought in Trey Jameson. Here you go. That's the guy. That's the guy we're bringing. Unless they end up trading like a Christian would or at Jackson Hayes, maybe they look at it and go, okay, well, let's go make a trade for a Day'Ron Sharp and then bring in a Trey Jameson, and then now you have your second and third center, right? But ideally, if you could go and trade for like a Daniel Gafford, like Daniel Gafford would be great, right? I mean, he literally fits the mold for what the Lakers need. He can run the floor, be a lob threat, block shots, right? Set screens, be the roll man. He's basically what we're hoping Trey Jameson can be for the Lakers, right? Set good screens, be the roll man, be the lob threat, floor running big, block shots, rebound well, right? Daniel Gafford, I do think, is a guy that could potentially do that, right? Is he a guy that could slot in and maybe, fill that role for the Lakers? I like the idea of him at times slotted alongside Anthony Davis. Kind of like a knock on Daniel Gafford is he can be a little disappointing rebounding the basketball at times. I mean, in 20 minutes, he's giving you 6 rebounds, which is good. But for a center, like you look at some of these guys like a Day'Ron Sharp, for example. I mean, the guy's giving you 6 rebounds in like 13 minutes of action, right? Like, and he's 6'9", right? So there's just things that you got to keep in mind, things that you have to weigh. But Daniel Gafford in a backup role would be fantastic. Play everything we need him to play, right? Like, it's just things to keep in mind, right? Like, I could already see a lot of Laker fans being like, oh, this guy can't rebound, right? It's like, well, yeah, I mean, he's not like an elite rebounder. Question always becomes now, going under the assumption that Trey Jameson is going to be the piece, right? Do we wait and see what evolves with him, and if he can kind of step in and play that role, and save your assets that you'd have to trade to go and acquire? Or do you just say, no, even if he is great, fine, now you got 2 centers, get rid of Hayes or whatever, and go get that guy, right? Like, those are things that you're going to have to weigh. Again, it's always possible that maybe Trey Jameson isn't like what the Lakers are going to have be the answer. It just kind of feels like it's that, like, that's probably what's going to happen. I'd like to see him a handful more games before we really judge Trey Jameson as a player, but overall, I do think he's probably going to be the main backup. But if you can get a Daniel Gafford, I think you get a Daniel Gafford, right? But like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I think it's very unlikely. Never say never, because strange things have happened. Maybe the Dallas Mavericks really do want to take a flyer on a Jared Vanderbilt. Maybe they're like, man, Jared Vanderbilt healthy, Duke could be tough, right? Like, that could be everything we need, which, I'm not going to lie, just the thought of Jared Vanderbilt on Dallas is, like, terrifying to me. Like, I don't like just for the Lakers' sake. Like, is Daniel Gafford worth putting Jared Vanderbilt on Dallas? I mean, that's an honest question, right? But in all honesty, right, like Daniel Gafford fits a need, right? Fits a hole. He fits what the Lakers have been looking for. So again, I mean, if you can work it out, like I said, through a third team where you're just kind of coming in, tacking in, maybe a team's like, hey, we'll trade this guy, and they could just get an extra asset from the Lakers, right? 2 seconds or whatever from the Lakers, where it's like, if we just do this trade swap, straight up just swap, well then, that's all we get. We're there, whatever that Dallas trade is. But yet in the Lakers, it's like, okay, well, maybe we get some assets from Dallas in this type of trade and then turn around and go, so, instead of getting a second in the deal, we can maybe get 3 seconds, right? And then, like, we'll take on Rui Hachimura. He's an expiring contract in the offseason. A lot of potential and possibilities. But again, Daniel Gafford, don't get your hopes up. I'll just put it like that. Don't get your hopes up on him being a Laker. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Do you think, like, no, I don't care. Whatever you got to do, get Daniel Gafford on the Lakers. Love to hear it. Let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos. I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.